So, a lot of times parents come to preschool teachers with a question in mind. That question is my child ready for kindergarten? And to answer that, I am going to use the Indiana Department of Education Kindergarten Readiness Facts and along with the literacy readiness and the mathematical readiness. And this probably will be cut down in 3 videos because it may be a little lengthy. But to find out if your child is ready for kindergarten, school readiness efforts support the development of skills, knowledge, and health. The goal for every child is to develop a love of learning. So all the fun things we do in class and the freedom that the teacher gives children and the encouragement and stuff that happens in the preschool are those first steps for your child to begin to love learning. Um, does your child have social skills? Do they respect themselves and others and property? Okay, because yeah. Um, do they express feelings and emotions with words? A lot of time my kiddos will get angry in class and I'll say, use your words. Use your words because you can't go to kindergarten screaming and crying and expect something to happen. They might put your child out. No one's there to listen to your child scream and cry all day. They got a job to do and they can't do it if little Jimmy is sitting over there just screaming because he don't like yellow crayons. Um, they need to understand taking turns. That happens in preschool. They start learning how to share. I've noticed over the years that a lot of times kids are come from only child households where they're the only kid, and that or what I've noticed the trend in is they're like the only baby kid. So their sister might be, and I know baby kid is not a word, but it's my word, so get used to it. Um, their sister or siblings might be like 12 and older. I myself have a huge age gap in my first and my last two. So again, they're kind of like the only child all over again. So learning how to share is a one of those superpowers that teachers have to coach or teach children how to do. Also, can they attend a task for a short period of time? And we talked about circling. That's what I called it. That's circle time in our last video. And we have to, in preschool, get children used to the idea of sitting still and focusing on something. And believe it or not, that also happens in free play, where children are offered an opportunity to do whatever it is that they choose to do. And you're kind of giving them a chance to learn how to stick to it for a second because your focus is going to be needed in kindergarten. Uh, Other social skills include, can they follow directions, go to circle or the carpet when asked? Um, can they manage transition and adapt to changes? And once you have those routines in place and you do those routines over and over and over, they know uh, after circle is affirmations. I don't even really have to say it. After circle is over and they put their chair away, they're usually going to get an instrument so that we can all participate in the morning affirmations. Um, so that's the thing that you would learn in preschool is how to adapt to the changes. What's the next thing? Can transition? Um, Another social skill would be the confidence and independence and choices. And a lot of times I myself encourage children to do what you like, do what you love, and that's a part of kindergarten readiness. Can they engage in play experiences with their peers? And for me, um, that takes a lot of coaching from day to day. I have one little girl who she believes you're gonna do what I want you to do, and there's no in this, and it's so funny to see, interesting to coach her through. It's like, child, you're on these kids, like knock it off. But or sometimes she's successful into getting the kids to play what she wants them to. And it's like, okay, it worked. Does your child have self-help skills? Because while a preschool ratio is 1 to 12, kindergarten ratio might be 1 to 20 or 22. So self-help is important. Can they go to the potty by themselves, including washing their hands? If they came from a good preschool, it's not even, it should be embedded. Like, the teacher shouldn't have to say, did you wash your hands? Um, can they feed themselves? Use utensils. I laugh because sometimes I have to remind the children to use utensils. Although most of the things that little kids do is cute, but it's not socially acceptable. So use your fork, use your spoon. They even use butter knives sometimes here, and it's so funny how they think they have a knife, but you also have to talk to them about knives. Can they dress themselves, zip and unbutton and button their clothes and jackets? Can they tie or fasten their shoes? Most kindergartners still can. Do they blow their nose independently? I honestly do not teach that, have not taught that yet, because children like to play in tissue, and it's only Kleenex and Puffs for me, which means that adds up. I cannot have you just taking tissues because you think it's fun and cute to wipe your nose. I've had that happen, and I'd rather just wipe their nose. So what I teach them to do is to ask me when you need tissue. Please don't hit me with one of these. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But yet and still, I do have some kids who have snot on their cheeks because they refuse to ask me to wipe their nose. So I just have to kind of be on it. If I counted the amount of times that I wiped a nose in a day, how the old folks used to say, if I had a nickel for every time I wiped a nose, yes, I'm taking all donations for tissue and Kleenex and what you call it, hand sanitizer for our daycare, because it is a great need. Again, I think I talked about in one of my videos how to stay well. Colds don't stop in the spring and in the summer. But other self-help skills that your children may need before going to kindergarten is showing basic safety knowledge. You walk in the classroom, don't throw things, move with respect or to self and their peers and their personal space. Like, don't be knocking people's stuff over without saying sorry or pushing people down because the line ain't moving fast enough. And again, those things that you learn from being in preschool and being around other children. Does your child have fine and gross motor skills? Can they hold and use writing tools? We write a lot. I even start at 2 to teach children how to hold the scissors, because that's like a big plus to go to school, kindergarten, knowing how to hold the scissors. Can you create some shapes, symbols, and possibly words without support or with support? Can you open packages and containers? The saddest thing I remember seeing, let me think about exactly where I was at, because I want to say summer camp, but we were really nice in summer camp. So I have to say this is kind of mean, but I think it was a school. Maybe I was doing I don't remember what it was, but I know it was a school. And I've seen it on more than one occasion, and I was really taken aback. But they would not open them kids' milk. They would not open the milk. Like, the kindergartners didn't know how to open their milk, and they would not help them. Now, one thing I will have to apologize for, if your child went to my school, they might not know how to open their milk because I don't get the little things of milk. And to be quite honest with you, the majority of my parents don't like milk, so they actually have doctor's notes where we don't need to serve milk. If we do, it's in a sippy cup or a regular child size cup. So yeah, sorry to you if you can't open your milk and you was a part of our daycare. You might not need milk anyway though. Okay, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Other fine and gross motor skills would include: can they run, hop, stop, drop, roll? Okay, maybe not roll. Gallop, skip, change directions, and do other coordinated movements to perform activities. And you will definitely receive a lot of opportunities to do that at my daycare because we love a good simple song with some music. Jellyfish, 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 jellyfish. Tell me you can do a simple song thing and not have fun. You're lying. Yeah, slick. Anyway, back to this. How can you help your child at home? Read to your children. You can read a short book. You can read the same book every day. It's seriously the practice and the just the action of reading to your child, or your child seeing you read, that helps your child to encourage them to build a love of reading. Encourage conversation with adults and peers. I laugh because my middle child, yeah, I would encourage it, although it made me cringe. She would talk to everybody, and I used to be like, "Oh my God, could you please stop talking to strangers?" But I'm here, whatever. Okay, talk to them, but I guess you should encourage that so that they can experience having conversations with other people. I get if you're not a fan of it. Believe me, I was not, especially considering for some reason when she talked to certain people, they would want to touch her, and I would wonder why do you want to touch my kid? Like, what's wrong with you? But yeah, that's the part that I think our parents dread of having kids is people want to touch them. And it's like, why? I'm never gonna just touch your kid, but there's a certain group of people, you know who you are, that likes touching little black kids. Yeah, it's weird. Demonstrate and practice understanding of nutritious foods. That's how you can help your kid at home, because they're not going to get those Takis and Flamin' Hots if they're eating school lunch. Practice healthy sleep routines. I used to have one kid in preschool. That kid used to go to sleep never. So when he would come to school, his parents would be like, "Yeah, he was up to 4 o'clock last night." Like, what? He has to be about 7 or 8 now. I really want to know what bedtime looks like for him, because I swear this kid, it'd be 10 o'clock at school, and there was no waking him up. It's like, me, I'm kind of like the pre-daycare that's like, you are going to stay on our schedule. Nap time is at 12. No, 1. Between 1 and 1:30, everybody should be asleep. But I could not get him on a schedule. He went to sleep when he wanted to, so I would like to know what that looks like today. But practice healthy sleep habits, okay? And we talked about routines of how to make that happen. Create experiences. Some experiences are free. Please don't limit your child to no life because you like your device or you don't realize that some stuff is free. The park is free all day, as well as the library, as well as a walk, um, card games. No, not card games. Parks, playground, libraries, community events like parades and festivals. Okay, and festivals get a little pricey, but still, there are things you can do in your neighborhood to give your child some experiences. Engage your child with your child in card games, grocery lists, pretend play, age age appropriate digital apps and songs. Praise your child for effort and curiosity about learning and trying new things. Um, and that's important to encourage them, and especially when they're doing educational things such as reading. I don't care how terrible they are. I want you to remember that student, that teacher that sits next to your child every day listening to your kid read. So while they're learning that new process of reading, hey, you be supportive, you cheer them on, and you just be happy about what's happening in that moment, no matter how frustrating it may be, because eventually your child will learn how to read and they'll learn how to read quicker if you are really supportive during that journey. So, what is early literacy? Early literacy knows is when you know the sound of the letters and sounds used to make words. You use complex sentences when speaking, writing names, response to a given name, notice letters in their name, in his or her name, and some additional letters or sounds and symbols. We do letters in my daycare. We practice recognizing letters, the sounding out the sound of letters, and signing letters. Um, un- Early literacy is understanding how to open a book and turn the pages. By the time you leave our daycare into kindergarten, you will definitely know how to do that. And if you pay attention, you will learn that it's a process. First, they have to learn which way the book goes, and then they learn which way to turn the pages, and so forth. And those are all early literacy skills. Excuse me. Um, Rhymes to create new words is early literacy. Oh, fun fact: encourage that as best as you can, as much as possible. I do have a couple of students who, and they were girls, interestingly enough, who were basically little freestyle artists. My one, she doesn't do it anymore. She's about 8, maybe. But then I have one now who she she freestyles a lot. It's so cute to see. But more early literacy is understanding and following oral directions, retell familiar stories, and communicate through drawing and emergent writing. So all of those things is getting a better understanding of if your child is ready for kindergarten. Moving right along. See, yep, that's 19 minutes. Well, I'm gonna get my first hour video. Early literacy readiness and what families should know. Did I not? That's kindergarten. Okay. Early literacy is print awareness, letter knowledge, phonemic awareness, emergent writing, and comprehension. So, to go over each one, print awareness is the earliest understanding that written language carries meaning. Okay. This is the foundation of all other literacy practices, which include following the words when reading in a book, tracking, responding to labels and pictures and symbols, and distinguishing pictures from the print. Letter knowledge is the ability to recognize and name the letters of the alphabet, which are part of literacy skills. Letter knowledge uses a variety of activities to recognize both upper and lowercase letters. When teaching alphabet, we use handwriting without tears. So there is a order that they use in order to teach the letters, and there are we use the handwriting without tears letter pieces to create letters. They also use letter magnets to make words. They also use Play-Doh mats to create letters. There's also cube mats to create letters, and these are all ways that you can teach the alphabet without writing, just writing. 'Cause you needed to, you're building a love of learning. They're not going to love sitting there writing letters all day in preschool. Letter knowledge recognizes that letters have sound and that letter sounds can be put together to make words. And that's a process. So I've had recently, I don't know if it's the latest TikTok craze or what, but I've had parents come to me and tell me that they're teaching their children how to read by teaching them their sight words. Okay, so stop. Let's just stop. Enough is enough. To teach sight words without teaching letters is crazy work. Okay, it's insane. Because a word to a child that does not know their individual letters and letter sounds is just shape. So while they see they're learning like it's like, a shape. It's like, let me see if I can do this reverse. The T and the H are taller, and then down goes that E, and it's a short word. So they're just learning like the shapes of, and just remembering that those shapes equal the, opposed to teaching a child that TH makes the sound and E is so there's the. Please stop the crazy work teaching your child sight words without them having a knowledge of letters, please. Crazy word. Emergent writing. Okay, I think we went over emergent writing. That sums it up. Comprehension is also a part of literacy readiness. Comprehension is when a child reacts to a story or an event and identifies details from the story or pictures and talks about the characters and settings. They retell familiar stories. That's why it is okay to read that book over and over again. So, they can tell you what happened. That does not mean they can read. Stop. And then they respond to the story. Comprehension is the skill that the earlier the better. I know we've all remembered taking them long tests and them being, for me, they weren't that daunting because I liked to read, but I do remember times where if I didn't feel like it would be like something I didn't really want to do but comprehension is a part of all of those testing that the children will begin to have. So the earlier they begin to learn how to do it, the better. When children participate in retelling details of an event or story, they develop the ability to comprehend and answer questions about the story or event. Practice it at home. Read to your child every day. Let your child see you reading every day, not Facebook or the Instagram. Reading a book. They still make those. Okay? Children need to see adults obtaining and using information from many different sources. recipes, newspapers, manuals, websites, books, and many other ways so that children can read more than just on a tablet. Have your child read to you. Young children reading is them just telling you the story. They don't have to necessarily know how to read per se, but just again, the action. Uh, Young children may begin reading by pointing to the pictures and talking about them and telling what the story is about. Use stuffed animals or sock puppets to retell stories. Help your child become aware of sounds and letters. Play games. What sound does M make? Help your child blend sounds by to make words. What word am I trying to make? K, k, at. Find books with the simple stories and help your child start to think about what he or she hears. Talk with your child about what happens first, next, second. Wait, I'm sorry. What happens first, next, and last in the story. Ask your child to draw their favorite part, and that's emergent writing. Um, Provide opportunities for your child to use various materials to scribble, draw, and create. You can also uh, create things or retell a story using I love Canva, but there's other things like Canva that your child can use to create online to retell a story. Now we're moving on to the Indiana Department of Education Kindergarten Mathematic Readiness Standards, which is what families should know. Number sense, sorting and classifying objects, geometry, measurement, and time, and computation. In number sense, that is learning the meaning of numbers involves the ability to think and work with numbers to understand their relationships and the different uses for the numbers. Number sense includes knowing numbers that number sense shows that numbers represent quantities and use quantities to compare more or less with numbers from 1 through 10. It counts number sense meaning counting numbers, counting backwards, recognizing numbers, and writing numbers. Um, Mathematic readiness also includes sorting and classifying objects, learning to model, explain, and use addition and subtraction concepts in problem solving. Begins with opportunity for young children to count, sort, compare objects, and describe their thinking and observations in everyday situations. Um, Sorting and classifying objects includes exploring attributes like their shape, their size, and colors for sorting, matching attributes and the opposites of those things, sorting and creating patterns in many different ways, A B A A B A B pattern, A B B A, or whatever patterns. There's many ways, endless ways to do that. And to begin to create and extend a simple pattern are all ways for sorting and classifying. Geometry, measurement, and time is done by exploring objects through touching, comparing them. Children begin to understand the different attributes and applications to construct the meaning of time. Children learn to apply concepts of time to real life situations. Identifies and differentiates between 2 or 3 dimensional shapes and use objects. Kindergarten mathematic readiness and what parents should know according to the Indiana Department of Education. Is number sense, sorting and classifying objects, geometry, measurement and time, and computation. Number sense is learning the meaning of numbers, involves the ability to think and work through numbers to understand their relationship and the different uses for the numbers. Number sense includes knowing numbers represent quantities, using quantities to compare more or less from numbers 1 through 10, counting numbers 1 through 20, counting backwards 10 to 0, recognizing numbers and writing numbers 1 through 10. Sorting and classifying objects, it is learning to model, explain, and use addition and subtraction concepts in problem solving. That begins with the opportunity for young children to count, sort, compare objects, and describe their thinking and observations in everyday situations. Sorting and classifying objects is exploring the attributes of objects like size, shape, and color, matching attributes to opposites, sorting and creating pattern in many ways, or beginning to create and extend a simple pattern. Geometry, measurement, and time is exploring objects through touching, comparing them. Children begin to understand the difference in attributes in application. To build the meaning of time, children learn by applying concepts of time to real life situations. A lot of times we have to help them through yesterday I did that, or today, and I know that didn't happen today. That you mean yesterday, or well, don't say, try not to use the words. Try not to use negative words like not, don't, no, can't, as much as you can rephrase that maybe that didn't happen yesterday. Maybe you mean today you ate breakfast. Geometry and measurement and time identifies and differentiates between 2 or 3 dimensional shapes. It uses attributes of shapes to distinguish between shapes. Geometry, measurement, and time includes anticipating routines by vocabulary to identify the sequence of events in a routine, or distinguishes between big and little sizes and weights. That's heavy, that's light. So for computation and mathematic readiness, adults help children compare quantities and understand math words such as more, less, smaller, thinner, bigger than, and different than. These words help children describe the size and shape of objects and relationship of objects to one another. Computation manipulates objects to match or create sets. It makes objects smaller or larger, or follows models of addition and subtraction. Parents can practice mathematic readiness at home by estimation. How many crackers do you think I have? Okay, let's count. Give your child 3 objects or a snack and yourself 2, and then ask who has more, me or you. Notice and point to patterns that you notice in every day. After measuring your child, ask them to guess how tall they are. Compare the heights by asking, well, who is taller? Or who do you think you're taller than? Or who may be smaller than you? Count items in or on a car or outside while you're driving. How many trees do you see? How many tires does this car have? How many other cars have 4 tires? Sort cereal by size or by color and shape. Make simple patterns with cereal. Create an obstacle course. Use chairs, pillows, tables, or whatever else you have. And use words such as go under the chair or over the table, or next to the pillow and so forth. Use bath time as a time to explore filling objects and talk about the volume of emptying the water. And everything is, like, I heard someone, I can't remember who it was, that said everything is content. Well, everything is learning, okay? Everything is learning. So a lot of times I like to remind my parents that, and when I say my parents, I mean the parents of the children that attend my school. But I like to remind them that your child is learning through play, and a lot of times they're learning a lot of different things by doing different things. And if you are doing those things or those practices at home that we talked about, you are preparing your child for kindergarten. You can comment down below with ways that you prepare your child for school at home, and the different things that you do to get your child ready for school. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And sharing is caring. So share this video with a few friends or a new mom that's entering their child into kindergarten.